Good evening. Welcome once again to our undisclosed location for another exciting episode of Sowing the Bourbon. I'm Glenn.
I'm Charlie.
And we are here. What do we have tonight, Charlie? What are we talking about?
Well, there's a bottle of Elmer T. Lee behind me.
I see that.
But what we're talking about tonight is the State of the Union. All right, Glenn.
Yes.
I wanted to do this episode because recently someone commented on one of our videos and it said, and I'll give you the gist of it. Hey, I watched some of your episodes. I noticed that you're picking the
small batches
as opposed to the barrel proof. Are you guys
the
single barrels? Are you guys new to bourbon? So clear some things up.
Sure.
We're not new to bourbon. Been doing this a while. And then number two, it made me think like, man, like it wasn't that I was offended. It made me laugh. But it also made me think like there's this misnomer in bourbon that if something is a limited release
or a single barrel
or highly allocated, like an Elmer, that it must be
good. Must be better than everything else.
It must be the best, Glenn. It's the best bourbon ever in the world. And I think that the reason that we've done this channel and our videos is because number one, we enjoy drinking bourbon. Number two, we enjoy drinking interesting bourbon. And number three, we have drank a lot of bourbon.
Yes, we have.
And I know that you have had your fair share of the Pappies, and I have drank many a Pappy before they were what they are now. And I think that that's shaped kind of who we are, because if the pinnacle of the pinnacle, if the top of Mount Everest is a Pappy 23, we've had a Pappy 23.
Sure.
And I've drank many a Pappy of 15, and I'm still here. You know, I didn't achieve enlightenment. It's a great bottle of bourbon, but
right, and I've told this story countless times about the Pappy 23 that I bought back in 2001 or whenever it was. It was the old Stitzel Weller juice. Before everyone was collecting, I didn't know what it was.
Yeah.
It was the old dusty velvet bag sitting behind the counter. I bought it, paid, I don't know, $200 for it. Held on to it for years. Opened it up in 2013. Drank it, and it wasn't my taste.
Yeah, it's very oaky.
Very oaky.
Very oaky.
That's 100%. And don't get me wrong, I finished the bottle, obviously, once it was open.
Yeah.
And I gained an appreciation for it, but you could tell it had been sitting in the barrel for 23 years. It was the oak overwhelmed it.
Right.
Some people may love that. I didn't.
Can I tell you my Pappy story?
Tell it.
This would have probably been 2008, 2009. Was having a bottle of bourbon with a friend of mine, a neighbor. He said, "Have you ever heard of Pappy Van Winkle?" I was like, "That's a weird name." And he said, "It's a bourbon. It's the best bourbon in the world." I said, "I'll go pick up some tomorrow." He goes, "Cool." The next morning, Saturday morning, I drive to a liquor barn, which is a local establishment here in Louisville. I didn't even go to the nicest liquor barn. I went to one on the south end, blue collar area. I walk in, I go to the bourbon aisle, perusing around. I go to the front, still kind of early. I say, "Excuse me, do you have any Pappy Van Winkle?" This is what she says. "Yeah, I got these last two." They're supposed to be limit one, but if you want these last two, I can let you have them. I said, "I'll take them both." And they were $49.99. They were Pappy 15s. I drank one, I gave one to my friend, and he drank the other. And that was just how it was.
Moral of this story, if you want Pappy Van Winkle, just go to your local liquor store and say, "Hey, do you have any Pappy Van Winkle?"
Yeah.
And they will likely pull some out from under the counter.
So
you're good to go.
To circle back to the original comment, one of the things that will hinder the bourbon industry and the State of the Union is bourbon and whiskey is complicated. I mean, you're talking about different mash bills, you're talking about different aging processes, and now we throw in, is it finished, and where is it finished? Is it double oaked? Is it double barreled? Is it a small batch? Is it a single barrel? Is it a seasonal release? Is it barrel proof? What does that even mean? It's an intimidating thing to get in, and everybody thinks that the bourbon glut that happened in the 60s and 70s can't happen again. It can. And if we as bourbon fans and supporters are not supportive of those people trying to enter into the hobby, it's not going to be great for the industry.
No, it isn't. And, you mentioned finished whiskeys and double oaked, and there's a lot of purists out there who don't consider a finished bourbon at all. They will only drink a straight bourbon that's not been finished. It hasn't.
Right.
Nothing special.
It's got to be Kentucky straight, aged the minimum, never touched.
And that's great if that's how you feel.
Right.
And I used to be a person who I would not buy a bottle of bourbon that was made outside of Kentucky, because no, if it's not made in Kentucky, it's not real bourbon, which is not the case.
Yeah.
And there's still a little bit of that in me, but it's just, there's so much out there.
There's so much.
And one of the points that I would like to make is the people who are in charge at a lot of these are very large companies.
Like Heavenhill and Buffalo Trace and Diageo.
And the master distillers and the master tasters. They know what they're doing.
Would you say that they know more than you watching at home?
They know more than me.
Yeah, they know better.
So when they choose a product to put out as their mass appeal product, it's not because it sucks. It's because it tastes pretty damn good. And most people would agree, right?
Such a good point. And I will piggyback off that. When you taste something and you're like, that sucks, it sucks to you.
Right.
I don't like, what don't I like? I don't like black licorice. So I would never
I love black licorice.
I do not like black licorice. And I do not like grits.
I don't like grits either.
But for me to go and shame someone who eats grits, you wouldn't be at a restaurant and hear someone. If I was sitting at a restaurant and somebody was like, "Oh, I'll have the grits, please, the cheese grits," be like, "That's dumb. That's the worst thing in the world." But that's what we do to.
Don't eat it.
Don't eat it. Don't drink it. If you don't like something, don't drink it. And that's what brings us to Elmer T. Lee.
Yes.
When people ask me, they say, "Charlie, what's your favorite bourbon of all time? What's your go-to, your desert island bottle," right? You're on a desert island. You can only have one bottle of bourbon ever, forever. Mine is not Elmer T. Lee. Mine is Heavenhill 6-year bottled in bond. A $10 bottle. That is my favorite bottle of bourbon in the history of the world. It is discontinued now, which makes me very sad.
Means it's no longer a $10 bottle.
It's no longer a $10 bottle if you can even find it. It was only available in Kentucky. It's age stated 6 years. It's bottled in bond. It's my favorite bottle in the world. And
Charlie, pour me some.
I will. And the reason that we bring this bottle out is because I am unapologetic and I am comfortable enough to know that this $10 bottle is the best bottle in existence, because it's the best bottle that has ever existed to me.
And would you be very smart if you felt like that was the best bourbon you've ever had and you could buy it for $10, but you decided, well, no, it's only $10. I can't be seen drinking that. I better go buy me a $100 bottle of bourbon because it must be better.
Yeah, no, and that's the thing that if you really want to be a bourbon fan, if you want to be a bourbon drinker, a bourbon taster, you have to drink and taste stuff. You're not going to achieve enlightenment by drinking this, but it is a really good bottle.
So good.
It's just, there's nothing wrong with it. It's not perfect. Nothing ever is perfect, but you can't say anything bad about it.
No.
Not one thing.
No.
And
it's got everything you want.
Everything you want.
In a bourbon. and nothing you don't want. Except now you've put your lips all over the bottle, which means I'm probably not going to get any more. Thank you, Charlie. And so, let me make one more point.
I got another one.
We're going to drink them both?
We're going to be okay.
Okay, so Heaven Hill discontinued this, but they have another bottled in bond now.
Oh, they re-released it.
And it's 7 years old, which is a year older, so it must be better, right?
It must be so much better. It must be better, and it must be the same $10, right? No, it's a $50 bottle, if you can find it. And when they released it, they released it in like 5 states, and one of those states wasn't Kentucky.
Right.
And I've done a side-by-side of the 6-year and the 7-year, and the 7-year is still sitting on my bar.
Yeah, and that's our opinion. Mm-hmm. But Charlie and I both agree that this is better than a 7-year. So that dispels another myth. Just because a bourbon is older doesn't mean it's better. And I was at Heaven Hill the other day, and guess what? And I will edit this in and show you this. They have a sign up that says, just because it's older doesn't mean it's better. And that's straight from Heaven Hill, and I think they know what they're doing.
100%. I have said, and again, it's because I've drank and tasted a lot of bourbon. My sweet spot is between 5 and 7 years old. Now, there are exceptions to that rule. I've had great 8, 12, 15, 20-year-old bourbon, but I like the character and the profile that comes from, that 5 to 8-year-old.
Absolutely. I agree. 100%.
So the moral of the story and the State of the Union is twofold. Number one, don't be afraid to try something. Get out there, try a bottle. Just because you see it on the shelf doesn't mean it's bad. We've done many an episode where we'll have a control bottle, whether it be Larceny small batch or Old Forester 100 or Woodford Reserve or Maker's Mark. Pick one of those up if you haven't had in a while and drink it.
Which leads me to another great point is, listen, our olfactory system and our sense of taste and smell changes constantly. It's affected by so many outside variables. Yep. I can't tell you how many times I've tried a whiskey or a bourbon one time and didn't like it and revisited it later on and loved it, and vice versa.
And vice versa. There has been many a time where you're on a distillery tour. This happens at wineries all the time. Mm-hmm. You go to a winery, you get the tour, you're having a great time, you've had a couple, you're like, oh, their wines are amazing, and you end up buying 2 cases, and you get it home, and you're like, this tastes like...
How did I buy this?
This tastes like antifreeze and grape juice. You gotta taste. You gotta try stuff. You have to be willing to get outside of your comfort zone, and don't be that guy or that person that shames people for what they drink or just says, nope, it's this or nothing else. Like, there's some really great things out there, experimental things and finishes and distilleries that aren't in Kentucky or, try stuff.
And we're not shaming you if you don't want to try stuff. If you're happy just drinking your straight bourbon and you don't want to try anything that's been finished or been messed with, great.
But don't shame other people for, whatever. Glenn?
Yes.
Have we accomplished anything in this episode?
I doubt it.
He doubts it.
I seriously doubt it.
I think we have.
But yes, we've gotten some things off our chest.
We have.
We've preached.
And hopefully you have a better idea of where we're coming from when we do these videos, because it matters. Like, our perspective and our point of view plays into how we review and how we talk about what we're drinking.
And honestly, Charlie, honestly, Charlie,
that's what Heaven Hill 6-year will do for you.
One of the reasons we do this is to encourage people
to drink on the weekdays.
To drink. No, to encourage people to go out and find something different. Challenge your
Yes.
palate. Don't go.
Yes.
Yes, if you want to chase all the allocated stuff, great. And we do it sometimes too. But just to let you know that there's so many good things out there.
Readily available things. And go to your local bar or your local restaurant and, instead of spending the $80 on a bottle, try a $15 pour or $10 pour or have a cocktail or whatever. There's all sorts of ways to explore and further your palate and taste a lot of really interesting whiskeys.
So are we not going to drink this Elmer T. Lee?
We'll do that off camera. Maybe that'll be another episode. If you'd like to see us review that bottle of Elmer T. Lee, we will happily do so, but you got to let us know in the comments.
Because Charlie, I have a bottle of Elmer T. Lee that's been sitting in my house for over 20 years.
It's a wax top Elmer T. Lee.
And
we're not opening a wax top Elmer T. Lee.
I want to try it so bad and find out.
I burped.
Because there's a lot of hype over it. People chase it. But then I've heard, it's not really all that great. I don't know. I want to try it.
Did you just say it's not that great? It has to be great. It's Elmer T. Lee. It's got Elmer on the back.
It could be the best I've ever tried.
Could be. But
I'll never know because Charlie won't let me open it.
2 things. Number 1, like and subscribe and hit the little bell at the top of the page so you get notifications when we do fun things.
Absolutely. Check out our Facebook group, So Into Bourbon. Join it. And there's so many wonderful, fun things happen there.
We post things. Follow us on Instagram. We got a lot of cool stuff on Instagram as well. And Glenn's on TikTok.
Whiskey Realtor.
Whiskey Realtor. As always, thank you for joining us and keep your bunghole tight. Good night, everyone.